In this week's episode, I sat down with Perparim Rama, the current mayor of Prishtina. I visited Pristina for the first time over 10 years ago and have lived here for a couple of years now. I have seen changes in the city, for better or for worse. The cityscape is ever changing. I was curious to understand better what is the city doing for its citizens. The city moves and we move. It can confine us and it can free us. The more the city of Pristina provides and allows for movement, the more its citizens can thrive. Pristina is growing. The city is bustling and spilling over as it tries to keep up with the increase in population. Change on an individual level is already not easy. At a city level, it is arduous and even more complicated. The mayor is one person and alone cannot do all the heavy lifting. In this episode, he explains his vision for Pristina, the work to create more public spaces, improving public transportation, and encouraging a more active Pristina. We also discuss some of the challenges he faces, such as managing different stakeholders, what it takes to push through infrastructure projects, and friction between the municipal and central governments. One thing for sure is, we all play a part as the city keeps moving. Thank you again for making the time out of your busy schedule. I wanted to kind of start off with how an individual moves and how the city also is tied. So, for an example, I think a lot of people, including myself, are curious travelers. I am also particularly a fan of photography, especially in architecture. So I like to walk around kind of and take photos of buildings. And then naturally, by walking around, you get kind of a sense of the energy, right? And sort of, it either kind of flows with you, maybe sometimes it doesn't. And that's how we kind of also form, let's say, an opinion of whether we like a city or not, right? So, for example, Tokyo, a city that I'm fortunate to know quite a bit with, yes, the technology, the organization, convenience mixed in with the tradition and all this, you get quite a exciting sense, right? An exciting energy from it. What do you think sort of is your take on when you see Pristina moving? And what kind of energy do you get?
Well, it is a very good question. My whole process of planning and developing and kind of creating the vision for the city is based on the very aspect of the impact that the spaces and environments have on human conscious and subconscious mind. Okay. Because by default, whatever we create has either a positive or a negative impact in our conscious or subconscious mind. So it's never neutral. Whatever we create, we have to know, we have to take huge responsibility for what we're doing, because we have to understand what we're doing, because it has either a positive or a negative impact. And you don't want to spend the money on infrastructure or on interventions that have a negative impact on people's lives, people's everyday lives. Yeah. The city of Pristina, has been growing and developing very fast for the past 25, 26 years, ever since liberation of the country. And we have a lot of kind of sprawl, if I may call it, of sort of chaotic growth as a result of lack of planning regulations initially in the beginning, and then later on a lack of sufficient infrastructure or administration to cope with this energy, this push to grow and develop. So on one side, the information that people want to come back to Pristina and invest, it's a positive one.
Absolutely.
But if that investment is uncontrolled, then creates a lot of pressure in different sort of dimensions, and in infrastructure, whether it's road infrastructure, sewage infrastructure, school, like education infrastructure, health, sports, recreational, and so on and so forth. So this is what we have been dealing with for the past 3.5 years that we manage the capital city. We kind of have a vision, we're on a mission to transform the city. All the irregular, chaotic growth that has happened needs to now be kind of completed with the infrastructure that supports the lives of people that live and work in these environments. And also, everything is energy, everything kind of vibrates to a certain frequency.
Off each other, right?
We feed off each other.
Yeah.
And if we agree that it's about energy, frequency, vibrations, and these vibrations create those positive or negative feelings, as you mentioned, Tokyo, and there's a lot of other cities like Copenhagen, for example, Stockholm, London, and smaller cities that create a nice positive vibe. And you also have other cities which they don't give you such a great vibe, so they kind of tend to drain you, because they don't feel natural. How you move through city, how you move through space, you may feel it's about this feeling. Do you feel safe, secure to move through space? Do you get excited,
or do you feel constrained,
do you get entertained?
trapped?
Do you feel
right?
constrained and trapped, and so on and so forth? So our interventions in the city are related to this idea of creating safe, inclusive environment for all, where these public spaces. So with great focus on public spaces that are that provide opportunities for socializing, for life, for green spaces, for entertainment. So we kind of create this public theater where people they love going out, walking, meeting other people. By default, we are social animals, and we want to be together with others. We want to see others, and if public spaces provide safe and exciting environment for us to be in these spaces, then we will go out and do that. On the other side, if they don't, then we tend to kind of get ourselves in the car and drive from A to B, because the environment, the walking environment or the public spaces may not be as inviting, may not feel as safe, may not feel as healthy and fulfilling, and so we find safety and security within the confinement of our vehicles that kind of keep us, in terms of socializing, we're sort of acting as individuals without having this possibility to exchange thoughts and ideas and communicate to others, but we get frustrated while we move from A to B. And so this has an impact, this has a psychological impact on our citizens. And hence the first kind of line of protecting or empowering our people, protecting in terms of health, is to ensure that our public spaces, our environments cater for our people, taking into account all these aspects that we just discussed. And then, hospitals and health centers are secondary to them. So if the environments, you can heal people by creating great, exciting public spaces, or you can make them sick by doing the wrong thing.
If it's stressful to having to commute, or the commute is always a difficult one, these things add up, right?
Precisely.
So coming from London, a city that we've both had a bit of experience. I think you've lived there for how many years?
29 years.
So it's almost another home for you at this
point.
point.
Yeah, I mean, I lived more in London than anywhere else.
So that's I've lived there for 7 years. Coming from London, which is arguably one of the most iconic cities on the planet, right? Yeah. It's one of those where even if you haven't had the occasion to visit, you've seen Big Ben, or you've seen it's in films, all this, right? So, and then coming to Pristina as the elected mayor, sort of what were your expectations kind of before, and then now that you're 3+ years in your mandate, and sort of, having obviously like what you started to explain to us, your vision, how far have you been able to go through with it?
Yeah, it's well, London and Pristina. I mean, they're two different scales.
Absolutely,
you
yes.
You have a super grand super city of London, and Pristina is much tinier in scale. But for me as a mayor, of course, having lived in London and again, I mean, lived in New York as well, and kind of traveled extensively around the world. I've studied cities. I've consulted for cities.
Yes.
I've been involved in large-scale projects, and the vision to transform the city for Pristina is relatively kind of, medium-sized project for me, and so I feel very comfortable and confident that the vision that we have provided for the city is the right vision for the city, for the people, for the people of the city. So it does not focus on building buildings. It focuses on transforming public space for people. So it's about spaces in between buildings rather than buildings themselves, because that's where life happens.
Sure.
Buildings are just the fabric that kind of defines space, and I call architecture as or urban planning as a choreography of space, where in this environment in between buildings, that's where life happens, and that's why it's so important for us to focus on transforming public spaces for the benefit of the people. What is difficult, 3.5 years on now, actually almost 4 years, I guess, a lot of unexpected aspects, elements, which I had.
From the outside now looking in, right?
I've had to learn. I mean, again, there's totally different sort of private sector and public sector are two totally different sectors, two totally different environments. In private sector,
and then they come together as well, right?
It's quite linear. Well, I mean, working. I'm talking about operating in one or the other.
Okay, yeah.
In the private sector, it's quite linear. You have an inquiry as an architect, for example, as an urban planner. You have an inquiry. You have a budget line. You have a timeline. You have a client. You have contractors. But you can, align it and start to stop. You can control it very easily, and then complete it, and it's done. In public sector, unfortunately, you have a lot of unknowns that become these sort of house of cards, that somebody pulls something from somewhere and the whole thing falls apart, and you actually don't even understand why they did that. And here I'm talking about politics of it all. When you bring into account that everything that we do in public sector, again, you have a vision of the mayor, which has to be pushed ahead, pushed forward, budgets, timelines, but then you have the assembly members from different political parties. You have to have a majority to push different agendas forward. And if you don't have the majority, then logic fails. You would think that people that are from Pristina, living in Pristina, voted by Pristina citizens, would think for the benefit of Pristina and its citizens. But this is where logic falls apart, where political parties, for example, they tend to be destructive in the process, or try and block you and stop you unreasonably or without any kind of logical sense. And this is a parameter, for example, that I have not thought that I would have to deal with. But now that I have come to deal with it, I'm mastering that as well somewhat, and learning how to pressurize these groups that act for the benefit for their own individual benefit or their own kind of party benefits, rather than for the benefit of the people in the city. So we have media that we try to kind of engage in these instances. But then again, in a small city like a relatively small city, Pristina, in comparison to London, I'm saying, because again, we're kind of medium-type city in comparison to a lot of cities in the region and around the world. So these are some of the difficulties that are kind of a bit of a surprise, which I've had to learn and deal with.
Yeah.
But the key element, the key point is that to find ways to kind of I like to find solutions to any problem that comes, whether that is a logical problem or not.
Yeah.
To find solutions rather than spend my time complaining how I'm being stopped from doing A and B and C. Obviously, you have to let the public know what's going on. It is our duty to inform the public that project A and B and C may not going as smoothly as well as possible because of A and B and C. So we have the duty to inform our people. But at the same time, I love the city. I have a vision for the city. I have moved from London with my wife and my 3 little children to this city because I believe that we can transform this city into a super exciting place to live and work. And we are well on our way, despite all the difficulties that we have, political ones, as I said, these illogical ones that I have. We are pressing ahead. So I'm again, and I said in while I was campaigning during my first campaign, that I do need 8 years to transform the city. And when we look at the markers, we're actually well on our way with all the projects that we have promised that we will very well achieve this within the 8-year period.
When it comes to sort of like with the city Pristina promoting sort of or accommodating, and we briefly kind of talked about this like before we started rolling, let's say, the sports and a healthy lifestyle, like trying to make it as stress-free as possible, accommodating the people. Like obviously you have a lot on your plate. And a city is a place where people live, work, and then also
entertain, recreate.
It needs to provide these
Absolutely,
spaces that
absolutely.
you're talking about. So what do if you can kindly kind of mention some of these initiatives or to kind of provide for people to do to sort of promote that active lifestyle, right?
Absolutely. I think that one of the key projects that we are pushing ahead is expanding the Mother Teresa Boulevard, which we have done now. We've included now George Bush Boulevard, which is up to the cathedral. And our vision and mission, we will continue with the boulevard. Obviously, this has to happen in phases because we need to plan to accommodate and also to change the mindset of the people, how they use the city and what happens while we make this transition. So the idea to kind of extend the boulevard to the flag roundabout, if you know where that is. So it will create a connection from the flag roundabout all the way to the old market in the old town, old Prishtina. It will create kind of 2.6 kilometers of a boulevard, which is roughly about 3,500 steps. So according to any kind of health parameters, if you walk between 5,000 and 10,000 steps a day, then you don't even have to go to the gym because you're by default, the way you lead your life, it becomes healthy. And so this is one aspect, but the other aspect is that the idea of connecting or creating this public space, which is safe, secure, inclusive, it becomes new public theater, entertainment like museums, gastronomy, kind of restaurants, bars, nurseries, schools, and variety of programs that would be happening within this boulevard. This boulevard also connects 10 largest neighborhoods of the city, or 75% of the density of the city.
Okay.
So you can see how important this spine, the new spine of the city is, and if we translate that to then energy, frequency, vibration, today where we have cars and sirens and hooting and feeling of insecurity, we'll have more green spaces, more calmness, more trees, more recreational grounds, walking, more social interaction.
Yeah,
so the vibration and the frequency of the whole city, will kind of create this new vibe of the city that expands into the neighborhoods as well. And also it's sort of an inviting energy source that brings people to walk from point A into point B. I mean, even these changes that we have done now, like Ulpiana, for example, now people that live in Ulpiana and may work in the city center, in central areas all the way to Topana, they say to me, wow, we never realized that actually it's only about, 5-6 minutes walk, or it's about 7 minutes walk. Or actually I feel so good that I'm now walking because I was always in my car. I was always stressed. I was in traffic, and now I'm walking and I feel healthier and I feel happier and I feel like I know my city more. And so these sort of feedbacks are, fantastic to hear. Of course, professionally, I know them. I know that the impact is positive. I mean, I've studied cities, I've designed for other cities, I've seen the impact on other cities, and I know that this is the right thing to do. But of course, people get used to a certain way of life, and if you change one parameter, if you change something, they freak out initially. Because
we're creatures of habit, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I make a joke. I say that when we have a city is like an organism, and like a human body. And we have doctors, when we get sick, when something is not right in our body and we need, let's say, an operation, we go to the doctor, and the doctor puts us under anesthetics and then cuts through us and then fixes whatever needs fixing and then stitches us up, and then we wake up, and then we go through the healing process and we heal and we move on. As a mayor, we don't have such means. Like, we cannot put people to sleep while we operate in the city. So that's why we have backlashes, every now and then, people saying, oh, the traffic is terrible, and how do you think that closing one of the main city center roads will help the traffic? It actually may seem it may not make sense to a lot of people, but it is exactly what will help the traffic, because we have a city, capital city, where we have data information that only from IPCO, IPCO, the mobile phone, they provided us with big data, with data that 748,000 entrances in the day. So 748,000 people, for example, that use IPCO telephones. We have 748,000 every day
coming into the city,
in and out, just from IPCO. Now put Vala in there as well, probably the same, probably about 1.5 million ins and outs. Now let's say a taxi driver has IPCO and comes in and out. That counts obviously 5 times, 6 times, 10 times. But even if you, let's say, reduce 1,000, 1.5 million entrances and going in and out, if you reduce it by 3 times, let's say 500,000 people will probably do that. We also have very precise data on vehicles that come into Pristina. About 148,000 vehicles, and these vehicles are not only just cars but buses, and so come into the city every day. So that gives you roughly about 450,000-500,000 people that come in and leave
whereas the
city.
Actual city's capacity is at a certain level, and then when you get this commuter traffic.
But also people that come from outside, from other cities, if they know that they can park the car right in the city center, they will drive right to the city center. If they know that there's in a ring road and they can park, let's say, for example, behind the Youth Palace over there as one of the parking spots, or at the entrance coming from Fushkosova as another one, or in Bardos coming from that side, and then they can take public transport because they would know that they cannot park anywhere in the city center, then chances are that they would park there and then come in by public transport, either bus, bicycle, scooter, or walk, because we have, let's say, if you park by Youth Palace, everything is within
5 minutes, 10 minutes max, right?
So walk within those zones. So that's why our strategy to have the inner ring road connected to the outer ring road, connected to these large-scale parking areas, connected to now the new bus routes, bus infrastructure, new buses. And we've also invested now, we've signed contracts with 26 private companies, private sector, for buses. So we unified the ticket.
Okay.
For the first time in the history of Pristina, people can buy a daily ticket or a weekly or a monthly or a yearly ticket that they can use on every bus. But, and if they buy daily, it's 80 cents, is peanuts. If they buy weekly, monthly, yearly, it becomes even less per day. So we also pushed ahead and also provided like free daily passes for people that come by bus from other cities and they stop at the bus station, at the central bus station.
Okay.
And why do we do that? Because you stop at the central bus station, we give you a free daily pass. But if you stop anywhere in the city, then we don't give you a free pass, because the idea is that
we
incentivize people to stop where the places where are designed for you to stop, not to kind of block the traffic in the city center, because that's what happens with these sort of illegal transporters that kind of come from other cities, and they just stop whatever they like, and they create a problem for traffic.
Yeah.
So we have we understand the problem, we have a solution. But going from resolving a problem, so the process from A to B, from the problem to a solution, unfortunately does not happen just like that.
No,
it takes years, it takes planning, it takes budgets, it takes know-how, and it takes patience, for people. And also it takes politicians that they don't have populist agendas in mind, or they're not kind of prone to kind of stopping a project or not pushing a project, even though they know that it's good for the people, but people will shout out, and that they would be worried that they would lose their votes on the next elections. That's why I always say I came here to make the transformation, to make the change. I know what the city's problems are. I know what the solutions are. I know how long they take. And I have told people how long they take. And I am doing exactly what I promised people that I will do. Now, during the process, it is painful. Because again, we're doing infrastructure throughout the city. Infrastructure, like the city has been sleeping or even falling down the cliff for past 8 or so years, 10 or more years now actually. And so we've had to kind of catch it and try to bring it up and then push it forward. But this is all happening.
And I've sensed that for that kind of change to happen, it's like you just need to rip the Band-Aid off, right? And that
Absolutely.
Is something that. But that's great to hear, such as the initiative of kind of making the bus system a bit more accessible. I want to kind of pivot to Pristina kind of being elected as the European City of Sports last year. So with that achievement, maybe if there's something you could share around what is being done for the athletes, the teams, and the everyday person to kind of support again more of these activities.
Well, we're very proudly selected as European City of Sports, and we've had a very rich agenda, sports agenda. Last year, we obviously continued this year, and will continue every year, because sport is super important for the well-being of our children, for the well-being of our youth, and for our country in total. Because if you're healthy physically, your chances are that you're much healthier mentally as well. So it has a positive impact on your mental health. So we've done a lot of sports fields in terms of like football fields, whether they're for different kind of sports clubs. So we've subsidized a lot of different sports clubs to improve their facilities. We have for the first time provided a football space or field for KFV, for the girls team, Prishtina girls team as well, because we feel that we need to empower equally boys and girls.
Sure.
We've also invested in bringing academies from abroad as well, such as Barcelona, Barça, and AC Milan, with their kind of professionals to also train our teachers. Not only in football, in how to coach and teach how to play football, but kind of the whole balance between physical and mental ability to function at the peak. And this is having a positive impact in our youth, in our society. We've also created for the first time now the league, kind of a primary and secondary schools league, which again creates this new approach, new competitions between different schools, and it's kind of a bottom-up approach, grassroots approach to provide opportunities for young talents to kind of come up to light and to be part of then bigger teams in the future. Also, apart from being selected as the European City last year, we have also won the Mediterranean Games, hosting for 2030. And as a result, we've kind of invested a lot in creating kind of master plan for the Olympic Village in Brnica, where we'll have the new stadium, new multifunctional arena, new kind of educational center, university campus as well for physical education, tennis courts, athletics. So it is a zone that will provide fantastic facilities for Mediterranean Games, but not only. I mean, we planned this before we knew that we will host the Mediterranean Games. We planned this for the city, for our people, because we lack infrastructure. So we need a lot more infrastructure than what we currently have. And luckily, we have a lot of interest from youth, from parents, to actually take their children to these sports schools. The other aspect that we've done as well is we've invested on building new schools and kind of transforming, our schools in this new learning, like whole day schooling, whereas previously we couldn't do this. We only had the original kind of standard curricula that is imposed by central government. Now, apart from central curricula, on these schools, that whole day schools that we're calling them, we started with 5. In September we'll have 13, and then probably within the next 4 years we'll have about 80%. We'll aim to have 100% of our schools to be whole day schools. But the importance of whole day schools is that there's a time for extracurricular activities, which then we want to engage our children with sports, arts, culture, coding, all these kind of other extracurricular activities that help our children engage in things that they love doing, that they enjoy doing. It's part of the
education, right?
It's part of the education, but also part of well-being.
Yes.
If we create an environment, if we create possibilities for our children to feel kind of fulfilled with what is presented to them, kind of to find themselves, to build their own selves, for each individual to build their own unique character, to grow with confidence that they can kind of be themselves, that they can create, that can experiment, explore. Then we will be building a healthy and happy society, and that's what I believe the power of cities the power of societies lies in creating environments where people, at the end of the day, they feel fulfilled, they feel happy, they feel safe, secure, they feel confident. Because I feel that confident...
One of the significant challenges that I think you're constantly facing, whether it's stakeholder management to kind of understanding the citizens living here. But it's great to hear that at least in terms of kind of there's one avenue of building infrastructure that needs to happen, right? And then obviously the program or kind of curriculum to kind of to provide as well. And then empowering the coaches, teachers to deliver that, right? So then, and all these elements have to kind of come together, right? So there was recently, I think, one of the events that was very successful, I think it was the Prishtina Trails, and it was like cars without, or Germia without cars, sorry, not cars without Germia.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens elsewhere.
Yes.
Choose cars without Germia or Germia without cars.
In terms of sort of having, kind of promoting that active lifestyle, like walking, hiking, biking. So as someone that lives relatively central, and I try to walk. One of the things I think we kind of touched upon is sort of the safety, security kind of thing, right? And I think like the more places that are pedestrian friendly, that encourages people. And I'm sure you're aware there's other places that maybe not so pedestrian friendly. I've noticed also in my time living here that I see the Prishtina bikes in different locations, which is great to see. Again, trying to encourage people to try to bike more, right? But that also comes with sort of the cycle lanes or having something dedicated to that. And so like I'm pretty ignorant to, obviously I'm not a politician. I don't know the ins and outs of, again, what you mentioned, like just to pass through an initiative or the budgeting, these kind of things. Like, how hard is it, or how much of a challenge is it to kind of build these public infrastructure projects?
Yeah, I mean, it is not a straightforward process, but we're on it, we're doing it, again, despite all the challenges that we have. For example, we've, apart from this boulevard that we're creating, the 2.6 kilometer boulevard, we also have platforms that connect different kind of Arboria, for example, connecting to the Youth Palace is a platform that's basically, it's also a park, a new park, like a platform, a new park that has bike lanes designed in it, walking areas, green spaces. And then again, we're kind of fighting with the central government. They're blocking us from doing that, but we're pushing ahead. They have absolutely no base in terms of no legitimacy to stop us. So these are unfortunate things that we have to deal with while we're trying to create these, the systems come together. Also the underpass, the Agim Ramadani underpass is immediately behind the municipality of Prishtina, the old building. Again, they're blocking us from creating that underpass, and they've been blocking us for a year and a half. Now we have our project. Our plan is that the whole kind of inner city ring road becomes a one-way system, a one-way system for cars, and then you have obviously two-way system for bicycle lanes, and that would provide. The design of it is done, is finished, the budgeting and all that. So we have everything ready, but we're blocked. We're fighting the government to let us. Unreasonably blocked, they're just, it's ridiculous. It's politics. It's unfortunately very destructive politics rather than being constructive politics. And I understand that again, people will use bikes more if they feel safe and secure on bikes, with bike lanes. And this is why this was one of the biggest drivers to kind of transform the inner ring road into a one-way system, because also that provides for faster buses, because we would have bus lanes and the planned. Safer city, because bus lanes can be used by also ambulances and police and fire brigades. And our plan, our dynamic line is that, so we create the underpass and then we transform the whole system into a one-way system. And now we're being blocked for a year and a half to do this underpass. You know,
that's really
so these are unfortunate, but
Yeah.
again, we will make it happen. We're not going to stop. We're pushing ahead.
Who do we need to talk to?
Current Prime Minister he's no longer even a Prime Minister. I mean, we have a block government now as well, block parliament, unfortunately. So this tells you the focus of our politicians. Unfortunately, they kind of focus on their own.
Yeah, because
gains,
meanwhile, everyday life
political
continues,
party
right?
gains rather than helping the city and growing the city. We've had the outer city ring road, a project that was sitting idle for like years, and then we managed to complete it immediately after my taking over managing the city here in the beginning. So this was 3 years ago. We completed the project. We also had 206 million funding from EBRD, 82.4 million out of that 266 million, so about 40% free money. And the Minister of Finance doesn't sign it because they're like, oh, well, why should we do this for you? Because why should we make you look good? So we have a very kind of backward mindset of these politicians, unfortunately, that we need to expose continuously so that they don't get voted next time. And, that is not a ring road built for me. That's a ring road built for
the people, right?
Children, people, for his children, and but I think that while we struggle to push projects forward, at the same time we're also trying to change mindset of these narrow-minded politicians that work, unfortunately, to their own limited, narrow-minded agenda rather than for the benefit of the people.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate when, I guess, sort of the bigger picture is maybe somehow lost.
Unfortunately, they didn't see it because they probably haven't had a chance in their life to think about others, only about themselves. And they feel insecure. Okay. And this is why it's very important that the city creates environments for people to feel safe and secure, because then you're empathetic, then you think for others. And these ministers that act, for their own individual benefit and their own clique, I feel for them in one way, because I don't think that they're healthy in their mind by thinking the way they think.
It sounds like it is a significant challenge, but hopefully these projects kind of are able to kind of move forward, so we do create a more kind of freer and secure. Like I noticed recently, for example, in my time already living here, the number of gyms has probably tripled, or maybe something along these lines, which is great because that means
health conscious people.
Yes, people want to. I think in particular, for a friend of mine recently told me on Druga B, for example, there's like 4 or 5 big gyms that have been built or in the midst of it. Now, I know these are private organizations, right? I mean, and also more gyms, competition, people have choice. So there's a positive side to that. But then when it comes to urban planning, which is sort of your forte, like how do you see it? Because
I think that again, there's 2 different kind of thoughts as to how you manage the functioning, within the city. And one way is to let the market regulate itself, and another way, which is kind of a bottom-up approach, and another way is to manage it slightly. It's more like being a shepherd, to rather than precisely telling people what to do. Consultation processes, I think that in terms of the way urban planning is regulated differs, and it's different in different cities. In London, for example, you do have the use classes, and then these use classes define what you can open up on the ground floor and what you cannot. But again, that kind of interferes with free market and with competition and so on and so forth. So I think that perhaps I would like to call upon people that want to invest to bring in professionals to first analyze the model, the business model, and when you start analyzing the model, the business model, and you understand first how many gyms are in the area, how many inhabitants live in those areas, what are your chances of getting enough people in order for you to be profitable, to profit from this business? Is there another function that is necessary for you to develop and create? So it is more about kind of perhaps having these discussions, even in podcasts like these, and in television, in radio, maybe in magazines or even conferences, to educate people and investors, or to have kind of places where they can request advice, like advisory boards, as to what they should and shouldn't do. Unfortunately, it's still here. It's learning by doing. So you get burned, and then you learn not to do that again. But during the process, you waste a lot of money and a lot of energy. And this is unfortunately what's happening with gyms, because whereas we had none, now we have too many. Also with residential units, whereas we had maybe lack of them, now 25 to 30% are empty. Whereas at the same time, we need hotels. We don't have enough hotels. We need office space. We don't have enough office space. There's plethora of other functions and programs that we require as a society, that we could bring in and invest on and be profitable and be that can push our society forward, and again not let these investors fail or waste their money. And it is, again, it becomes more dangerous to try and control it from an urban planning perspective, the functioning of the ground space, the ground level space. You can control it to a level whether it's going to be commercial, whether it's going to be, and within commercial, then you have
there's
whether it's going to be categories, whether it's going to be a restaurant, supermarket, bank, post office, pharmacy, and so on and so forth. So you could have these use classes and define them to a point, but not kind of be autocratic about it, because you just, how do you then know that you are actually 100% right? But what we're doing, again, today we're in this revolution of AI, artificial intelligence, and big data. And so we have installed the smart city infrastructure in Pristina. We're actually we're the first in the region. We're organizing a conference now, 18th and 19th of June, on smart city. So now we're able to, we're also connecting different functions like waste management, bus transportation, also waste trucks, also kind of traffic lights, air quality in classrooms, all sorts of different data that we are now able to collect information from. And then even we have installed sensors on sewage kind of, what do you call them, tops,
the manholes.
The manholes. You have missing manholes because
Mm.
someone steals them and sells them for metal scrap. So we now have had to install sensors on all these manholes, and we are able to identify if a manhole is walking. And obviously, if a manhole walks, we know something's not right. And so either somebody's doing some work in it, so then we can find out through our cameras, or somebody just took it to somewhere for a walk. But I'm mentioning this because we now have the infrastructure, we have the hardware to collect data also, and help perhaps these businesses to have them share data with us as well, so that we have kind of a more precise kind of information of the city life, density of people that live in, the kind of age, the functions that are being served and offered in these areas, maybe frequency of people going in and out.
Well, the more information you have or data, that then can be
the more
used,
precisely you can also use them, but also you can use that data to plan for new experiences, for new experiences, which again, and this data can then be fed back or serve to for businesses, for investors, for people that want to do something, to create something and not fail. Because with gyms, yes, I mean, we have too many gyms already. It's fantastic that we do. I mean, it's so cheap. I mean, you can pay like 90 euros per year and have a membership.
I think on the cheaper end, yes, which is phenomenal.
It's like
Yeah.
I mean, I know they would benefit from me, because knowing me, I while I lived in New York, I would pay for a gym membership. I would go once and never again, and then the next year I would say, okay, pay again, because maybe this year you go. So I would pay again and then never go again.
At least you have it and you can go, right?
So psychologically, you think you can go. So I think that these gyms are relying on people like myself, which I guess majority of us are the same, but it is not a viable business model, and unfortunately these investors, some of them will suffer because some of them will have to close. But it would be, in terms of, to go back to your original question, yes, we need to control it to a point, but not fully, because again, then you start getting it wrong, then you start having too many limitations.
Well, you don't want to stifle it, but then I guess it is like, sort of, how much does that kind of align with your vision, right?
Well, I mean, I'm much happier with having gyms opening than, for example, illegal gambling.
Of course, sure, of course. 2 more questions, and we kind of already just touched it. So, being sort of a podcast around health, fitness, and sports, sort of your personal approach on sort of what you like to do, kind of in terms of those extracurricular activities, and then to end it with, what is your next move?
Well, again, I think that we're investing a lot in our education sector, in our schools, in terms of sports within schools. I think it's super important, and that's already happening. Also in sports infrastructure through our Directorate of Sports, so building many loads of terrains, whether it's for tennis, for football, for basketball, and so on and so forth. We're also working with private sector to actually initiate these processes and carrying them out. In terms of urban planning, we've also have these new codes that request 3.5% of the overall development that is designed and developed for the needs of the community, and whether there is a sports center, a recreational ground, or anything that has to do with the needs of the community. Now we have 3.5% of it dedicated to the community, for the community, which again is another huge help. The master plan for the Olympic village, for the Mediterranean Games, that already completed, and now we will invest. We're working with private sector to do public-private partnerships. We already have actually companies, Swiss companies, interested to work with us to transform these places, and that is ongoing. So there's also a US company that is, we're talking about these vertical gyms. So we identified about 10 places around different parts of the city to create these vertical gyms, which will provide various facilities for all the neighborhoods. And they only take about 50 by 50 square meters to develop this vertical gym, where within that you can have tennis, squash, futsal, swimming, gym, and so on and so forth. So these are kind of our new things that are
in the pipeline. Then
are in the pipeline, and they're with the private sector. Again, this will cost nothing to the public money, because the way we're doing it is that let's say that for a period of time the private sector use it. We provide land, they then get to use it for their own benefits within this hour and that hour, and after that it will be for the community use. So it will be a mixture, a fusion of public-private partnership. So these are in terms of, and as I mentioned, we can heal through urban planning.
Yes.
So the boulevards, the platforms that are connecting, these are all ongoing. They're actually happening. Also, we're connecting through these green routes, the city center, to places like Gërmia and to Golak region, Prishtina, the city. 9/10 of the region is actually beautiful nature. And so we have worked with Swiss Contact on a project to open up the Golak region for people, to be exposed to nature,
make it more accessible,
for kind of making it more accessible, but also to the investors that are interested to invest on agritourism or mountainous tourism to work with us. So we provided all the facilities for bringing in investment, and again, the more people are exposed to nature, then the more empathetic towards nature they become, and the more they want it back into the urban environment as well. And that's what we're doing here. You've probably seen a lot of streets have new trees along the way, like one of the again, we also want to pledge to our people not to cut them to park their cars in there, because it happens, unfortunately, still. But we're winning. We're winning the game of transforming Pristina into healthy, happy, entertaining, inclusive environment, with potential for everybody to find their way, to find their needs and wants, and to want to live, work, and raise their children here in the capital city. Yeah.
So many battles still to fight.
But it's exciting. It's
well, thank you again for your time. And really appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Great pleasure and honor. Thank you very much. Well, that's thanks for being here. Thanks for choosing Pristina as your home.
Absolutely.
So it's a good sign that we're doing something right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers.